Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Bitter Rivals podcast, episode 87, I believe. I am Avery
87.
Roche, and this is Gitano Gallo. So it was another week in the NHL. Trade deadline passed. That was significant, although it wasn't really a significant trade deadline. It was more of a, deadline day. It was more of the
A
period
deadline
leading
week.
up to it. That was really hectic. There was a lot of big moves, a lot of big names moved. If you look at it in the large, think about it since Lou did the Horvat trade in New York.
Yeah.
Since then, it's been just straight
Banana
hecticness all the time. It's been crazy. So we'll get to that a little bit later, but let's start with some Leafs content. They've lost 2 of their last 3 games. One of them to the Edmonton Oilers. They got spanked, and then last night they got spanked by the Vancouver Canucks, which was tough to watch.
Embarrassing.
You should never, but it's not even top 10 embarrassing losses in Leafs last 5 years. So, but it was, I think what we're seeing is a team that has 33% new players in the lineup and haven't exactly fit together yet. Yeah. That's the caveat there, is because I believe they will fit together. They will be a very, very good team, but there's some chemistry that needs to be built before that can happen. So that's, I think, where we're sitting at right now in Leafland. They looked really good against Calgary. That felt like a playoff type game, just low scoring, lots of bodies being thrown, tight refereed game. That was a fun game. But the other two, since I guess the Jake McCabe addition, have been mediocre at best. That's just the truth. They looked terrible against Edmonton, and they looked terrible against Vancouver last night after a decent first period. And do you know what? Matt Murray played great last night. The scoreboard doesn't show it, but Matt Murray had a really, really good game. They hung him out to dry a few times, and he made a couple of big saves. It could have been a lot worse, a lot worse. So that's where we're at. And more concerning than the Leafs play is the fact that one of those players that we picked up was photographed leaving the arena with a cast on his finger. Ryan O'Reilly took a puck in the hand last night, and they said they'll update us Monday after practice, but it looks like he's got a broken finger, which is usually about a 4 to 6 week timeline, which brings us right up to the playoffs. And it's just so on brand for that to happen in Toronto, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's nothing you can really do about that, but it sucks nonetheless. Ryan O'Reilly was our biggest trade deadline acquisition, clearly. He's a guy that looked really good in the lineup. He looked like he was born to be a Leaf in that jersey, and of course, and it was a self-inflicted wound. It was a slap shot from the point that hit him in front of the net, in the ozone. So it is what it is, man. I hope it's not long term. I hope the cast was a precautionary thing, but I doubt it. He'll be out until the playoffs, and is that a good thing? Not at all. That is a terrible thing to have that guy who, again, needs to build chemistry. Not that he doesn't have chemistry with the guys he's been playing with, but the team needs to build chemistry, team chemistry, and it's going to be tough to do with Ryan O'Reilly sidelined for 6 weeks if that's the case.
Matthews got hurt last night as well, did he not?
Well, he took a stinger in the leg, but he finished the game.
Okay, I did not see that he'd come back. Okay.
Yeah, he definitely. It was nerve-wracking. He didn't come back for the second period. He came back about halfway through, but I don't know if you've ever been hit in the leg like that with a puck or something.
On the side of the knee like that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Plenty of times.
Well, you lose all feeling in that leg for a solid half an hour. And I think that's what happened, is he literally could not feel his leg for 30 minutes. And then as soon as he could feel his leg, he was like, okay, it doesn't feel like anything's broken. I'll go back out. And I was talking with a couple people last night when he got hurt. We were like, they had x-rays before he got hit. That's how much money the Leafs are putting into medical staff and stuff like that. So the moral of the story, he's got the best medical staff behind him too. He wouldn't have gone out there if he was hurt. So I think he's okay. That was a stinger. Take probably about a week for it to completely heal, and he'll be fine, but he can play through it. Okay. But the Ryan O'Reilly injury is the really, really tough part. That sucks. There's no other way to shake it. That sucks if he is hurt. That's just worst case. But What are you going to do? There's nothing you can do about it. Shit happens. Injuries happen.
You're talking about Habs fan about injuries happening, Abe. We know.
We've talked about this, Gitano. We have way more man games lost than you do this year, so don't even start. Don't even start. Like, significantly more man games lost, and we're 4th in the NHL.
Yes, but we've also been over this that you guys are just a better team regardless. The man games lost doesn't really affect that right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement.
Yeah. I'm not going to try and argue that a fucking team with like 7 AHL players in it is better than second place in the division leads.
That's
I'm not going to make that argument.
That's fair. Which is why you beat us the last time we played you. Because that's just how it goes. Did you not?
No, you guys won like 5-1 the last time we played.
Oh, was it? Okay, it was the game prior to that. Wasn't there a couple games within like a month period?
No, we played you like twice at the beginning of the season. We beat you both times, and then we beat you on opening night. We beat you again, and then you guys beat us.
I am misremembering. I got to look this up now. Yeah, you're right. So the Leafs and Habs.
Because Anderson scored the winner with like.
No, you guys won in overtime on January 21st. I'm not going crazy.
No, you beat us literally like 2 weeks ago. I went to a movie. I didn't go over to your place to watch the
game.
Yes,
I know. That was 5-1. I'm talking the game prior to that was in January 21st, a 3-2 Habs overtime win against the Leafs.
Yeah, I said the Habs have won twice this year. The last time you.
Yeah, but not at the beginning of the season. That was a month and a half ago.
Well, same shit.
That's exactly what I just said. Was a month.
It's like the same shit, Avery. It's the same shit. January might as well be the beginning of the season. The Habs haven't had a fucking real season in like 3 years, by the way. So like, give me a break.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much all I got in Toronto. It's kind of somber times right now. Everybody was very excited after the trade deadline, as they should have been, because Kyle Dubas clearly made a statement that he was going all in. But since then, it's been trying to gel and trying to find chemistry, and struggling through that, I think, is a word I'll use. And now one of the biggest acquisition that Kyle Dubas made is injured. And to me, it looks like long term. I'm not a doctor, but it doesn't look good. Yeah, no, I'm a business student, not a medical student.
Well, anyways, the Habs had an okay trip out west, beat the Sharks 3-1 on Tuesday, and then lost on Thursday and Friday to the Kings and the Ducks. So it was good for the tank. It's always good. Pretty quiet deadline. I guess we'll just there's not a lot to talk Habs with, so let's transition to the deadline, because the Habs are kind of screwed by injuries. A lot of our trade bait players, Sean Monahan, Joel Edmondson, were hurt going into the deadline. Edmondson just played the one game. He'd missed 12, and then played Thursday night before the deadline and did not get moved. And yeah, it was a pretty quiet deadline for the Habs. We did chip in though and pick up a draft pick and retain some salary in a move between San Jose and somebody else. I don't even fucking know who it was who got moved. But yeah, that was about it, and like an AHL trade. So real quiet deadline for the Habs. Kind of out of Kent Hughes' hands. Couldn't trade hurt players. So yeah, back at kind of square one here.
Well, you could. It just would have been heavily scrutinized by the NHL, according to Gary Bettman.
Oh yeah, and that's what I mean by can't, because they would have given it.
Well, if any one of those guys would have played a game before the end of the regular season, then it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Actually.
But I don't trust that Sean Monahan will. Joel Edmondson's finally just getting back from this injury. He's played 2 games now. Played Thursday before the deadline and the Friday of the deadline. So he's back, but I guess team just didn't want to take a risk on that. So yeah.
Oh well, fair enough. Yeah, the Leafs deadline was, I would say, a success. I think Kyle Dubas did all that he could. There was some weird movement going on though. With Rasmus Sandin being moved out, I'm not sure how I feel about that, because I think that's what Toronto's done a lot of, is developing players to be really, really good, and then trading them before they have the opportunity to be great. or waiving them, and then they get picked up or whatever it may be. And this is a guy who was drafted and developed in the system. So it does kind of suck to see him go. I think a lot of Leafs fans had a soft spot for Raz. And obviously he was friends with all of the Swedes on the team. Like William Nylander's his best friend. So that might also be kind of what's going on with the Leafs. I'm not saying Pierre Engvall was the glue that held this hockey team together, but losing him and Rasmus Sandin, that's those guys have been core guys in that organization for 3+ years, right? Like, not core guys, they're not the big guys, but they've been parts of the organization for a long time. So, that might be weighing on the players, and that might be the reason for a couple of really, really poor outings that we saw. And I guess I'll be honest, it wasn't very fun to see Rasmus Sandin get 3 assists last night in Washington's 8-3 victory. I forget who they played, but yeah, Rasmus dominated. I'll tell you that.
So just for that trade, so it was Rasmus Sandin to the Capitals, and the Leafs getting Erik Gustafsson and Boston's first-round pick in this year's draft.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that trade? Maybe not as a Leafs fan, just in a hockey sense. How do you feel about that trade?
Well, I don't really like it because that pick is basically a second. Like, let's be honest, it's Boston. They're like, that's going to be anything from what, the 27th, 26th pick to the 32nd. Like, right? So it's a second rounder. It's not a high first. It is a deep draft, so it's good to have at least a first rounder of any level in this draft because it's a very good one. But yeah, and I don't think Gustafsson really fits in to the lineup in Toronto. So I don't know. I don't know why they went for him. He's an offensive guy, but he doesn't play really good defense. He's got more points than any of the forwards on the Toronto, or any defenseman on the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is interesting. But that's not what we're trying to do here. We have guys for power play 1, like Morgan Riley's the power play 1 guy. You traded out Rasmus Sandin, who was your power play 2 guy. Now you bring this Gustafsson guy in, who's not as good defensively as Sandin. It's a little bit more dynamic offensively, but you're also giving up on a significantly younger player. Yeah, I don't know. I think it had more to do with probably some sort of verbal agreement that Rasmus and Kyle had, or Rasmus's representation and Kyle had, that if Rasmus wasn't going to be in that top 6 defensive group and he wasn't going to play playoff games, that he would get traded, that they would make a move and send him somewhere where he had more of an opportunity, like he does in Washington, especially after they traded Dmitry Orlov and Erik Gustafsson, who were PP1 and 2. So now Rasmus Sandin's PP1 with Alex Ovechkin. So I think he's getting a pretty good opportunity. I hate to see him go. I think he's going to be a really good hockey player. So something about Swedish defensemen.
All right, and we'll go with another Leafs trade here, picking up Jake McCabe, Sam Lafferty, and 2 conditional picks from Chicago for Joey Anderson. I don't even want to try and pronounce that last name. A conditional first and a second.
Yeah, that's tidy work by Kyle Dubas, especially considering Jake McCabe's 50% retained. So we're only paying him a couple $1 million for not only this year, but 2 years following. So I think that was very, very tidy work by Kyle Dubas, because it's not only bolstering the defense for this playoff run, but that's bolstering the defense for 3 years. So at $2 million, that's pretty good work. And Lafferty's a good fringe guy. He's a guy who can slot up and down the lineup, probably not top line minutes, but you know what I'm talking about. He's a guy who can play third, fourth line minutes. He can kill penalties. He can do all those things. So it's I thought that was a really good move from Kyle Dubas.
I think that was just about everything Leafs did. I know we've already talked Ryan O'Reilly, so I don't feel like we need to bring that up anymore.
Yeah, no, that's good. Engvall out to the Islanders for a third. That was actually flipped for Luke Schenn is just the one thing you're missing. So basically trading Pierre Engvall for Luke Schenn. I think in the grand scheme of things, Engvall's definitely a more valuable hockey player. But I think for what the Leafs are trying to do here, I think Luke Schenn is the better player for this team in this moment. especially considering all the nostalgia value with him being drafted to the Leafs 5th overall and then never playing on a team that went anywhere close to the playoffs. So I think it'll be interesting to see what he does, and I think the fact that we brought in the guy who leads the league by a significant amount in hits, that's sending a message to your players. And I think everybody, a bit like the thing about having Luke Schenn on your team is it's like having a Lucic or Reeves. Everybody plays 2 inches taller. Everybody. William Nylander finishes hits. Like last night, Tyler Myers destroyed John Tavares, and William Nylander went after him. I don't think that happens if the Leafs don't have the guys that they didn't have a couple weeks ago. You know what I mean? Because then Jake McCabe comes in and really that was a pretty wild fight. I couldn't even tell you who won, but it was a ragdoll fest between Tyler Myers and Jake McCabe. But
well, in my experience with Tyler Myers, he doesn't win a lot of fights because he's massive, but a giraffe. He's not coordinated enough to win fights. So I'm going to give that one to McCabe.
Yeah, and somehow McCabe took 17 minutes in penalties on that. Like,
yeah, 2, 5, and a 10.
Yeah, what's the 10
for third man in?
What's the 10 for?
I don't make the rules, Dave. I'm just telling you what it was.
That's garbage. That was we don't have to spend too much time on it because we spent enough time on officiating already. But that was unbelievable. Anyway. So yeah, I'm happy with what the Leafs did at the trade deadline. I'm scared though about what Boston did at the trade deadline because Boston was good and they got much better. And for them to get better, they're already the best team in on pace to be the best team in NHL history, points percentage wise. So
yeah. So I mean that's a perfect segue to moving into the rest of the league's trade deadline. Do you want to kind of just go big moves, or you want to go by teams, or how do you want to approach this?
Well, let's just go winners and losers.
All right.
So let's pick a couple each. I think my losers are probably. I'm going to call Vancouver a loser because they have no idea what the hell they're doing, and they don't even know that they're rebuilding, and they added a top 4 defenseman in exchange for the first-round pick that they got for Bo Horvat. So I don't know what the hell that was about. They traded Bo Horvat for Filip Hronek, basically. I don't know what the hell they're thinking.
It ends up being Horvat and a second for Ratty, Hronek, Beauvillier, and a fourth. That's just not good.
It's like nobody told them they're rebuilding.
No, because that's the Horvat trade, at least signaled that they were it doesn't matter what reword, retool, rebuild, whatever, but it at least signaled hey, we are not good. We're going to get some picks for the future, some young kids, and kind of take a couple years, and then you immediately move those picks for a win now kind of player in quotations there. I don't get it.
Yeah, because I think Hronek's deal is up at the end of next year. He could walk. What are they expecting to be good next year? Because that's the only reason this deal would make sense. And they're not going to be good next year.
No. Because
he can walk at the end of next year. He can just go, and he's going to because it's a dumpster fire organization.
They're just the Canucks are just in denial of their situation.
And they have been for 10 years, and we've said it 1,000 times, and we're going to say it for another 10 years because they're going to continue to remain in denial that they suck and they need to rebuild. They need to tear it down and rebuild it from the ashes like a freaking phoenix. Anyway. Let's talk about Boston though, there's my loser. Who's your loser? Pick a loser other than Vancouver.
So my pick was going to be Vancouver, but I'm also going to go with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Just kind of doing nothing. They just their moves they made just made no sense. They're definitely, if they make the playoffs even, because they're in a wild card spot right now, they're not getting past the first round. And then what they end up adding is Michael Granlund, Nick Bonino, and Dmitry Kulikov, which does not make them any better of a hockey team, at all. So I don't know why you're kind of wasting these, last few years of Letang, Malkin, and Crosby, and not at least trying to full send for it or rebuilding. They're not quite at Vancouver's level of being awful and in denial, but like you have maybe 2 or 3 years left of Crosby, Malkin, Letang. Either send it or ship them out at this point. They just kind of did nothing, and Ron Hextall's not a good GM.
So actually, do you know what? I'm going to go with a second loser here, and it's the Montreal Canadiens. I'm going to be honest with you. They just didn't. You are in a position right now. You know that you should be losing. If you're going to get rid of players like Joel Edmondson, even just for the fact that it might lose you an extra game and it might give you that much better odds to win that draft lottery, I think you have to do it. Even if you're doing it for our favorite player of all time, future considerations, you have to do it. You have to get rid of everything that you can. All of the NHL players in your lineup must go if they're not young and have term.
I don't doubt that Kent Hughes tried. I think it's just with Edmondson missed something like 12 games leading up to the deadline. Sean Monahan hasn't played since mid-December.
Is he not a UFA though? Joel Edmondson, is he not a UFA?
No, he's got a year left after this.
I thought he was a UFA.
No.
Who are the UFAs?
Our UFAs were Monahan, Hoffman, Drouin, Didanov, who got shipped out for Guryanov, who's also a UFA but much younger. So I think those are the big three: was Hoffman, Drouin, and Monahan.
So why did Hoffman not get traded?
To quote, I fucking forget which one of the TSN insiders said it, but they were like the market for Mike Hoffman, it's not even lukewarm, it's ice cold. Like nobody wants him. So I don't know what you can do with that. If nobody wants them, it's hard to move.
Honestly, trade them for a 6th or a 7th round pick if that's what it is. Because you can do that.
But do teams want to take on his $4.5 million, or even if we retain some, do they want to take that cap on for a guy they don't really want? I think that's more of the issue. He's been absolutely fucking dog shit for the last 2 years, and a little bit before that too.
I guess what I'm saying is I was just expecting Montreal to do a little something more than they did. That's, I think, what I'm trying to say. I wanted them to make more moves for their future is kind of what I wanted to see. So that's my loser. Let's move on to winners here. So you go first with a winner.
It's got to be the New Jersey Devils.
Well, they added the best player.
Yeah. I mean, they're already a pretty phenomenal team. Adding Timo Meier fucking makes them ridiculous, especially because he wants to stay there long term. So It's not just a quick rental. They've actually made their immediate future and the future for the next few years at least looks real good.
Yeah.
And they didn't give up anyone fucking big for it either. They kept all of their top prospects. You can't fucking ask for a better trade deadline than that for a contender.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I actually have another 2-pack here for winners. So one is the Boston Bruins, because there isn't a measurable thing that they haven't won this year. So of course they won this trade deadline too. So yeah, hats off to them. Adding Bobby Orlov there, and then seeing Foligno and Hall go down, and they just decide they're gonna scoop up Bertuzzi. That was some tidy work by Don Sweeney. That was some tidy work. Seriously.
Yeah, I look at what the Bruins have done and their current roster, and what they essentially what they didn't give up to get even better, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, they're just so damn good. Imagine, I put in our group chat that day. Imagine waking up that morning as a Bruins fan.
Oh yeah,
we've signed our best offensive player to an $11.25 million contract, David Pastrnak, 8 years.
Yep.
And
Pasta got paid.
We traded for Tyler Bertuzzi, one of the grittiest sandpaper beauties. Not a beauty, he's actually kind of a dickhead, but a playoff performer. I don't know that, but he seems like it, doesn't he?
He's built like it. He's built like it,
exactly. So yeah, there. And then my second winner, actually, do you know what? I think the Leafs had a fantastic trade deadline. I'm just counting. I'm talking about other teams. So my second one is the Ottawa Senators. And as much as I hate the Ottawa Senators, adding Jacob Chikrin for peanuts on the dollar, things are looking good in Ottawa right now, man. They're like, I think they're 12-3-0 in their last 15. Like, they are humming. And they're only 3 points out of a wild card spot.
Yeah, I still think they're still a couple pieces away from being, legit playoff contenders, but they're definitely building towards the right thing, I would say.
I start to see, like, the Stützle has been unbelievable this year, man. Tim Stützle has been
He's
a
got 30
very,
goals.
very good. Pardon?
He's got 30 goals.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's got 20 games left to play. Yeah. Timmy Stützle has been on one. Claude Giroux has fit in just fine there. Brady Tkachuk is the ultimate captain, man. Did you see him challenge the Red Wings bench? That was insane. I've heard stories about that and seen clips of it from the 80s. I haven't seen that in 20 years, man.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And like
challenging the whole bench.
Not even just that, but like he's also like, because here's the thing, like if like Ryan Reeves challenges the whole bench, you're like, yeah, you're Ryan Reeves. Like, of course you challenge the whole bench. But like, he's actually a good fucking hockey player. You know
He's
what I mean?
a very good hockey player. He is a catalyst out there. His coach was saying he put that, like, the past couple games, Brady Tkachuk just put this team on his back and he carried us to a couple of wins. And they were dominant victories. They've been getting goaltending. Now they got Chikrin, Shabbat. That Sanderson kid is unreal, man. He's going to be a star in this league. Josh Norris has been good. As much of a bad person Drake Batherson allegedly is, Drake Batherson's been really good. Like, they have some pieces, man. And I don't know. Like, they've really, really impressed me over the past couple of weeks. And I really, really got to give it to Pierre Dorian for saying, you know what, fuck it. We're going all in. We're going all in and we're getting Jacob Chikrin. And they did. I can't believe it.
I mean, I respect him going all in for Jacob Chikrin. I look at what the East is right now, and specifically the Atlantic Division, and like, obviously with the opportunity to get Chikrin, you take him every time. But like, I'm so glad the Habs suck right now, because there's no point in being like good in our division.
No,
you know what I mean? Like, there's no point.
in my memory, I cannot remember a more like just dangerous, dominant division, and it's the whole conference actually, because Carolina, New Jersey, the Rangers. We didn't even talk about the Rangers, man.
The
they
Rangers
picked
are
up
going to be my
Patrick
next win.
Kane and Vladimir Tarasenko. Like, they're on another level now too. Like, the whole conference is just a bloodbath. It's unprecedented. Do you remember a time where it was this lopsided? Like, the West is
like in the early like 20 teens, when the West just fucking ran shit with like Nashville, Chicago, LA, San Jose, when they
and all those teams were just crazy good. Yeah, and guess what? A couple of those teams never won cups. Like, San Jose might be the best team over that period that didn't win a cup, right? Yeah. Like, they were so good. Thornton, Prime Thornton, Marlowe, Hurdle. They had Meyer back then too. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy how that can shift too. Like, the best team in the West right now, is it not Dallas? The Dallas Stars, man.
I don't have the standings up, but I feel like that's probably not overly wrong.
I believe it's Dallas. I'm making sure now.
I got it loading up right now.
It is the Dallas Stars at 81 points.
Quietly having a really good year. Haven't heard a lot about them.
Dude, there's 4 teams in the Eastern Conference with more points than the number 1 team in the West. Boston has 103 points. They still have 20 games.
Yeah,
they're going to get 140 points maybe, man. They don't lose. They've lost 8 times in regulation.
Yo, look at their scoring differential, please. If you have it up.
It's double anybody else in the league.
Like, plus 105 goals.
It's double anybody else in the league.
Like, that is absolutely fucking bonkers.
They're on a 10-game winning streak right now.
Yeah, they are.
I don't know what to say, man. They're a wagon. They're might be the best team in NHL history when this is all said and done. Who would have predicted that in September?
Bruins fans, but they're assholes. So fuck them.
It's amazing. They might be the best team, and they might not make it out of the first round. Well, they might not make it out of the side. They're going to make it out of the first round. They might not make it out of the second round, man, because it's going to be either Toronto or Tampa. Like, those are wagon teams.
We got to go back to 1-8 fucking playoffs. We have to.
It's crazy. Like, I don't know. Boston's on another level. I did not realize that they were on a 10-game heater.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my God. That's it. Linus Ullmark scored a goal. Like, what the hell is going on? And, like, what is in the water in Massachusetts right now?
Steroids? Allegedly.
Gotta be. It's gotta be. Seriously, man. Anyway, that's about all I can think of for trade deadline happenings. Is there anything we're missing other than we touched on Patty Kane?
So I've got a couple of the major trades up. We've got John Klingberg to Minnesota.
Yeah, that was trade today, I would say.
With Anaheim retaining 50%. I don't hate that move for Minnesota. They didn't give up too much. They gave up Schuster. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that last name, and a fourth. So, like, not terrible. We had Jonathan Quick getting shipped to Columbus and then flipped to Vegas with Gavrikov and Korpisalo going to LA. LA is like 7th or 8th in the league, so I don't hate that move for them. It's kind of solidifying everything. The big one.
How funny would it be if the Golden Knights and Kings played in the playoffs?
Heat.
That would be theater.
Jonathan Quick would fucking turn it up.
Oh, he would turn it back the clock, man. He would turn into 2012 Quick. Like, anyway, keep going over these trades.
Anyways, so we've got a conditional second, a fourth, and Andy Walensky going to Chicago in exchange for Patrick Kane and Cooper Zach. But nobody cares about Cooper Zach. It's for Patrick Kane.
It's for Patrick.
And then Arizona was in there as a third team in to retain some salary, but that's huge for the Rangers.
Yeah.
And then I think that's
because they also added Vladimir Tarasenko.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is it for, I think, the major trades that we didn't talk about last week anyways.
All right, what do you got for Habs this week then?
This week, actually, the Habs have a puck drop at 6 p.m., so it's about an hour and 20 minutes from when we're recording. The game should be about a period deep when this comes out. And then we are at home to the Hurricanes on Tuesday, the Rangers on Thursday, and host the Devils on Saturday. So we get the fucking Patty Kane show in Montreal this week.
Nice. So it's another kind of tough week for the Leafs. They only have a couple games, which I think they'd prefer to play more, especially home games right now, just to get this team kind of put together the way it should be. But they only play Tuesday at 7 p.m. In New Jersey, which is interesting. They finished their Western road swing. Like, they went Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, and then they finished their road trip in New Jersey. So that's weird. But anyway, Saturday night at home against the Oilers, so that'll be fun. They get a nice little break. Hopefully they can recharge. Hopefully Ryan O'Reilly's finger isn't fucking broken. That would be the worst, but I think it is. Yeah, and then they play the following Monday, so we'll have an episode before that, and we'll review that and the Oilers-Leafs game on Saturday night, what should be a banger. I hope the Leafs come out flying in that game to get a little bit of revenge for that 5-1 shellacking they took in Edmonton. So that's what we got.
All right. Anything else you need to get off your chest?
No, I think I got everything off my chest. So thank you to the Game Entertainment and Media for hosting us on their platform. Check out all the socials. As always, we have our Instagram, our Twitter, @BitterRivals, And yeah, we will talk to you next week for episode 88, the Patrick Kane, Eric Lindros episode. We will see you then. Thanks for listening.